I know you guys are looking at me and you're like, this guy doesn't know anything about puppets. You're fucking wrong. I know a lot about puppets. When I grew up in an apostolic Pentecostal church, which if you don't know what that is, it's like Christianity for people who go, it'd be a lot better if the women wore long denim dresses. And my dad's best friend Al had what's called a puppet ministry. And it was him and his wife, and they would walk around with puppets on their hands, and they would even travel. They'd get sponsored and travel around with like a horse wagon full of puppets, like it was the 1840s. And it was kind of like Sesame Street, except the puppets would sing songs about how you're going to hell and the gay agenda. But it was part of my childhood. And they were actually trained by Jim and Tammy Faye Baker, whose church was, a lot of people I can tell by the funny hats, you guys know who they are. They had their church in Muskegon, Michigan, where they mastered puppetry before the scandal. It was like the O.J. Simpson case for televangelism. And cut to 20 years later, I'm a waiter working at a fancy brunch spot, and it's Sunday, it's hot, the patio's burning up, and a table of 5 comes in and they say, we have one more coming. And if you've ever waited tables and it's, you know when it's like so hot and your apron's so covered in Bloody Mary mix at brunch that somebody thinks you've been in an accident. But I'm charming them up, I'm making the jokes, and they're like, this guy's great. And I'm like, we gotta kind of hurry up, we gotta flip this table. And the receipt papers run out, and the chef is kind of the guy that's like, he thinks he's like Werner Herzog, you know, where he's like, this is my art. And you're like, cool, it's been 25 minutes on the French toast. The gays are really mad out there at table 51. But I got a good rapport going with this table, and then finally the 6th person shows up. And she takes a seat. She looks unique. She's got a bowl cut, and she's in her 50s, and she's wearing a burgundy turtleneck. And of course I'm like, yes, another performer. But she has a puppet on her arm. And I'm like, well, that's weird. I'm no stranger. And so I go around, I get the orders, and then I get hers. And this is a full-on fucking puppet, okay? For you bozos out there who are like, oh, she's got a sock on her hand. No. This is a crafted piece of art. It has a stick that she uses to move its arm. This is Jim Henson shit, okay? And when I get to her, and I go, and what do you want? I'm old, so I'm writing this, you know, this is before POS. She orders through the puppet, which I should say, nobody acknowledged the puppet. Nobody was like, just so you know, this lady's gonna come in with a puppet. I know it's all fun and games. So when I get to her, she's like, she looks at me, and I'm like, and for you, she starts to order with the puppet. And I'm like, oh, this is a bit, so I'm not going to do the voice. I don't want to get canceled. I'm not going to get canceled over a puppet voice, but I make a silly voice where I repeat the order back, like chilaquiles, 2 mimosas, coffee, and a Diet Coke, which frankly, I'm like, that's a lot of fluids. But I do the funny voice, and nobody laughs. All the rapport I had is gone. And I'm like, oh, that's it. I go in and I start putting it in by the kitchen, and one of the women at the table comes up and she goes, hey, just so you know, that wasn't funny. And I'm like, I thought it was. And she gets very serious. She goes, just so you know, that's my cousin. And she was abducted as a teenager, and she was horrifically, physically and sexually abused for years. She escaped, and through the brave therapy of a doctor, she now communicates through the puppet. She was ridden mute. Do you know what that is? And I'm like, I've never heard the words ridden and mute, but this sounds really serious. She was ridden mute. So please don't acknowledge the puppet. She and the puppet are one. And I'm kind of like, you know, you say if you tell the waiter if it's a nut allergy, right? You fucking think that when we're all gabbing around on Sunday. So I apologized. I was very red-faced, and I said, I feel bad about this. But I had grown up knowing puppets who sang about hell, but this was the first time that I met a puppet that had been there. And when I dropped the check, I said it in front of her, and I looked the puppet in the eyes, and I said, just so you know, we had gratuity for parties of 6 or more.